Good morning and welcome back to the channel Grand Colombia, and welcome to another Coffee Time Live coming to you from Armenia, Quindío, Colombia. I have to start adding the Quindío because it's too confusing, the Armenia. People just, they don't get it, and I understand that. All right, so let's take a look. It's 79 degrees, and we're going to have a high of about 81. We're going to have a low of 64. And the Colombian peso as of this morning is 40.14 to the dollar. Anything over 4 is pretty awesome. And outside, beautiful day. Even the blue's coming through on this crappy camera. Yeah, it's a bright, sunshiny day. It's very nice. Excuse me. All right, let's take a look at the comments today. I'm going to talk about some things that went on this week, because after all, channels, it's all about me. So we'll talk about some things that went on. It was a very, very busy week. I actually lost track of my days. And then we'll talk about what, I'm not going to go into detail. This isn't a how-to on how to do a business. But I will talk about a few key things in case somebody's interested. It's difficult, but it's easy. Yeah. So I'll get to that. Whoa, what is that? Get off my screen. Woo. Big news thing popped up and covered up the screen. So I'll talk about that, and I'll talk about the business a little bit, because I've been getting I put up a couple posts on Facebook, and it has engendered a zillion questions. So I'll answer a couple of the key ones. And then I have a bonus topic. It's really more of a slightly informational, slight axe to grind. Seems like I'm grinding a lot of axes lately. And that'll be it for today. So first of all, I have a question for you guys. I'm going to read the comments. For those of you that are in transition of English to Spanish, or any transition from any language to any language, I'm told that there are stages to it. And I'm having difficulty. I'm stuck in one. Well, first of all, I have to have everybody talk slow because I'm translating almost word for word. And I know that's typical, normal at the stage I'm at, which is like step one. But here's the thing I'm really having issues with. When I'm around English-speaking people, any Spanish I have kind of goes out the window. I don't remember it. I'm not hearing it. It's like my ears are only tuned into the English. And for the Spanish, it's like I'm in a restaurant this last week, and waitress is there asking me, and it turned out, once all the smoke cleared, it was a very basic thing that I certainly knew exactly what she was asking. But I got an English speaker, and she's talking, and I don't understand a word she says. She says it a couple times. I completely don't understand it. And I see this all the time with myself. And I was wondering, any of you that have been at that point or are at that point, have you experienced the same thing, or is that something with me? I know the translation thing where you have to go slow because you're translating, and if they go too fast, then you get the first part, but then you miss what they said after that. I wish I wasn't there, but that's where I'm at. All right, let me go through the comments, but I would please ask you, please, even if you've never commented before, that if that's something you've experienced or not. All right, let's go through here. What do we got? Of course, we've got Juka. Thank you oh so much. I went through that and many more this week. It was an expensive week. Greetings from Finland. Libby, greetings from Ecuador. How you doing? Rob, good morning. Fort Lauderdale, 284 days. Wow. Now it seems like it's dropping like a rock. Mike Jarvis, good morning all. How you doing, Mike? Ben Lake, Mr. Ben Lake, have you moved completely yet? He was moving from one side of the building to the other side. Michael, good morning. How are you doing? Victor Kruger, finally back in Milan. About time. When did you get back? I sent you an email a week or two ago. See if you could take a look at that. I want to head over and get together and see what's going on. I guess you've got something new in your life and pretty fantastic. So that'll be cool. David, good morning from Marawi Apartments in lovely Armenia, Colombia. Marawi? Where the heck is that? Where is that? Mukawa comes to mind, but that's somebody's saying so. Let's see. Nadik Mark. Good morning from Agua Chica, Cesar. It's 87 degrees already. Woo, that's toasty. The good William. Good morning, Mr. William. How you doing? Yeah, we got the good William Hutchinson and the bad William Hutchinson. And just last week, we ran into another example of somebody getting raked over the coals by the other one. Not to be associated. They are not the same people. Mr. Tommy Adams, good morning. How you doing? Owen Cash to me, right? What's up with a picture on the video? Oh, did I? Yeah, let's see. Yeah, let's get rid of that. I was doing something before we started, and I guess I forgot. Yeah, I don't have a producer. It's me all alone with all these buttons and all those buttons and sliders and yeah. That's how it goes. All right. So nobody commented on the language thing, and I'm really curious about that. All right. This is not one of those try to get you to comment in the comments below so it does something with the algorithm. The algorithm means nothing to me, does nothing for my channel. I'm very close to switching over to Rumble, so I won't be live on YouTube anymore. I'll be live on Rumble. Very close to it. But this is a comment in live chat. And in live chat, that doesn't go to an algorithm anyway. I'm just curious about it. Mr. Ben Lake, moving to the next building. Well, yeah, but it's the same double building. I did the translation in my head for a few months, as the last time I'd used Spanish was 12 years prior to trade show in Madrid. Now it's expanding my vocabulary. But have you ever shut down around English speaking? Let's see. Francisco, morning from Upper Darby, PA. Darby. Okay, let's see. Did you have the same problem with other languages, Japanese? The only other language I've ever really spoken is Japanese, and I had zero problem with it. But I also learned it really fast. But then Japanese is not Spanish. Japanese is very easy. Everybody thinks it's hard. They're thinking Chinese. Japanese is very easy. They speak the same language they spoke 300 years ago. And you don't have all the exceptions and you don't have all the slang going on. It's an easy language. It's like doing math. Linguistically speaking is different in every region, let alone locals, neighborhoods, breaking grammar rule. Yeah, well, there's that too. Yeah, it's hard to keep up with it. Stephen, good morning from Calarca. You got to go that at the end, Calarca. All right. Let's get on with it here. Coffee meeting this last week. I have no video. I wasn't there. I missed it. I'm not supposed to be there. It's not like it's an obligation, but I've been there for months now. And a lot of new people come and, kind of say hello. But I get a message, why aren't you at the coffee meeting? And I said, in myself, I don't think I replied that way, but I said, but it's Tuesday. Coffee meeting's Wednesday. Wait, it's Wednesday. I lost a day somewhere. Like I said, it's been a busy week. And, you know, I'm supposed to be in retirement. These are supposed to be my golden years. Oro años, años oro. This is supposed to be my time. Yet, I'm working like a freaking dog day and night. Hopefully, it'll smooth out. Hopefully, it'll smooth out. If Japanese is like math, then I'll never learn. Well, math was a thing for me. Kalarka. Well, you didn't have to put that on there. It was okay. Let's see. Oh, Mr. Steven, thank you. Thank you so much. Man, if I ever needed it, I can need it right now. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, so I missed the coffee meeting. This coming Wednesday, it will be at the same place it's been, down in Central. It's actually 14 y 9. It's 14th and 9 in a place called Sublime, but the taxi driver knows it as Sublime. So Sublime is a very nice, relatively new cafe. Working like a dog. How? Well, I'll cover some of it today. I agree with you on Japanese. It's way easier than Spanish. It doesn't have multiple slang words thrown in. I worked with two gentlemen for 2 years with no translator. Yeah, it's, I was surprised. In a year, I was conversationally fluent. I'm going on what, 20 years. 20 years, and I'm taxi fluent, which is barely. Yeah, so, yeah, that's how it is. All right, so that was the coffee meeting. I'm going to try to get to the one this coming Wednesday. So my week. I don't remember where it started off, but the first major thing that I actually have videos of, and I made a video out of it, is took a trip to Salento and Cocora. See, coming up in the first part of August, there's a family coming that has me picking them up at the airport and taking them to a whole bunch of events over the next course of days. So on their first full day here, they'll be going to Salento and Cocora. And then on the next day, they'll be horseback riding in Buena Vista. And on the next day after that, they'll be at the coffee park all day. Day after that, they'll be at the hot springs the entire day. And the day after that, they'll be hang gliding and then recovering. So, yeah, it's something. So I wanted to go to Salento and Cocora. Well, I've been to Salento a lot, but I haven't been to Cocora in quite a while. And I was shocked how much it changed. There's places, there's haciendas or farm places that have sprung up out of nowhere. And Cocora, as you drive into it, there used to be like one place to go horseback riding, a restaurant on the left, and a couple like sidewalk restaurants up the hill a little bit. Well, now they got this big thing as you're rolling into town, all kinds of touristy signs and pay for parking, and it's like this big production. I was very surprised. I'm glad I went out there ahead to kind of check it out. Plus, my business partner is going to be handling the drone for me while I'm doing videos at these farms. And so she'd never flown a drone. So I figured while we're out at Cocora, I'll pull the drone out and she can fly it. It was quite hilarious. I don't have any video showing that. And it probably wouldn't have been nice. I mean, you know, learning. But I have some pictures of it that I managed to salvage out of the wreckage of the video. So I managed some still. And I did a video already that's posted up, and you can see the whole thing. A lot of people, to me, it's boring as hell. But a lot of people like me to do the video maybe at a higher speed on the road going somewhere. to me, it's all, I don't see, but I've had enough people comment that. I'm trying to include it, and I certainly included it in that. But let me show you, I think this is like a 40-second clip, and it's got some of the pictures. Yeah, you call it the black elephant, Elefante Negro, because it's so gigantic. It's really wide. It's kind of massive. But did have a Japanese translator tell me it was easier to learn in Spanish than English, so there's that. Yeah, you get that. You talk to different people in different parts of the world, and you get one or the other. I don't know. I think Spanish is probably harder, because it has a lot of the issues that English has. It's very similar in that way, but it also has all the gender stuff, and the gender stuff isn't necessarily intuitive. So it's like you've added another layer to all the ugliness that I before E except after C and sounding like way is, and that kind of stuff. Yeah, everything's with exceptions. Rob, related to your language issue, it might have to do with also concentrating on a situation as well as translating. The same thing, but different happens to me when I'm in the presence of one English only and one Spanish only, and I speak the wrong language to the wrong person because I'm distracted. Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. But it feels like my brain is shut off, and the only thing I'm comprehending, it's not like I feel I have an option. It feels like the Spanish is just shut down, and all that I'm thinking and hearing and seeing is the English part. But yeah, maybe there's just degrees of it, and I happen to be in the worst degree. All right, so Salento, Kokora, talked about that. And let's see. Next big thing was no distractions. She doesn't speak a word of English. No molestar. Yeah. Distractions. Okay. The next thing was we went to Hanover because some of the prime coffees that I'm looking for are down there, and we need to seal some deals. And I think I've got a complete inventory, at least for this year, ironed out. I have to make one more return trip to Hanover. The gentleman wants a favor, which is done by video. It's a video. So gotta stop doing the drugs, man. I don't even do aspirin. Okay. Yeah, and it's killing me because I love a cold beer once in a while. Maybe 2 or 3 times a month I drink a cold beer. And with this carne diet thing, beer's not permitted because it's all carbohydrates. Did you do the horseback tour? Some very beautiful creeks coming out of the mountains. No, that can go on for hours. No. And when I take them horseback riding, it's not going to be there. It's actually going to be at a place near Tabida. Or at least that's the plan as of now. My issue with the horses around Kokora is they all tend to be kind of scraggly. They're small and I don't know. They're just, you feel bad just getting on them because they look tired, and they aren't necessarily, because I don't think they get overworked there, but they just, they're maybe not the best looking of horses. I mean, I'm probably saying that. I don't think I'm saying it the way I intend to say it, because they're horses. Typical horse in Colombia is a smaller horse with kind of a different build than what I'm used to. I'm used to horses that look more like Arabians. I mean, when I grew up with and all of that, they're big, they're tall, they're muscular horses. And horses in Colombia, I don't know, maybe because, they are the way they are because of the Andes Mountains and they need to be that. I don't know, but they tend to be like that. So I look for horses that are more like what I'm familiar with. I don't feel so guilty riding them. But anyway, where was I? Yeah, we ate up all the time that we had anyway. Oh yeah, so I went to Innova, made contact with farm. Got to go back out there, and because people speak Spanish here, and I don't want to negotiate in business with my horrible broken Spanish. Let me give you an example of what went on when we were out there. And you can guess who was doing the negotiating. That was at the end of it, so there was nothing really going on, but for about 20 minutes, there was a lot of conversation, negotiating. What happens with these things is, I have experience with that. Her expertise is actually in the agriculture and the coffee itself, in all the details, in all the legal requirements in Colombia, all the certifications, all of that good stuff. Plus, by having her as a partner in this business, by nature of all the things that she did in university, we're the beneficiary of a whole bunch of discounts and privileges, which is pretty damn awesome. It adds up to a fair amount of money. So, so there's that. Will you be exporting your coffee to the U.S.? That's the intention. It's not for here. It's not going to be green beans. It's going to be roasted coffee beans, the way those particular beans were intended to be roasted. Paso Fino horse breed is what they are. Yes, smaller frame, 14, 15 hands. 15 maybe on a good day. So scraggly in a way to describe them, but very good at trail riding. That's exactly right. Thank you. You said it well. They are great at trail riding around here, in the climate that we have. And I knew it was a breed. I just didn't know what it was. It's like, they're almost like pack horses, work horses, which, is probably best use for them. But if you're a full-grown adult and you're used to riding horses and you get on one, you feel like you're going to break their back, or you feel like they're just too small. And obviously they're not. But anyway, no point in talking about that. So let me get on with this so I can talk more about the business. I don't want to get too deep into those things until I get there. So anyway, went out there, made some great contacts, have to return, have to do a favor. But it's actually the favor that I have to do is kind of a favor for me too, ultimately. So it's all good. And so then finally, after waiting forever, it's been waiting for 2 months, finally went down to the Chamber of Commerce to get the business license. So here's a quick video of that. And I think I put a video up. Yeah, I did. I put a video up a couple days ago about it with more detail. It's wandering around. Let's cut that off. So I picked up the business license. We had to actually get the RUT. Well, there's an NIT, which has to do with taxes, but because of the way we constructed this business, we didn't do it as a corporation. We just use the RUT, they call it RUT. The taxes we have to collect, the EVA or the value added tax. So when I sell coffee in the United States, I have to collect the value added tax, and then every quarter pay it. Just like sales, if you're in business in the United States, every quarter you collect sales tax, every quarter you do the paperwork and you pay the government. It's the same thing here. Nice thing is they're very business friendly, and if you have Bank Colombia, which I have, but I actually needed to go through her so we could take advantage of some of those financial benefits. It would have been kind of dumb. So she got her own account just recently. They actually have a way that will just kind of automatically kind of separate these things out and process the paperwork and submit the money. They make it very simple, so that's pretty cool. And in the U.S. by now, maybe they do. It's been years since I was involved in sales tax, but it's a pretty simple process. Plus, the accountant that I hired way back, because he's got certain paperwork to file, and he had to enter all the information into the Chamber of Commerce and all of that. But part of his fee is also 1 year, the first year of processing all the tax work that needs to be done. So that was pretty cool. I was wondering, it's like, it seemed like a lot of money for what he was doing, but then oh yeah, the other part. Well, now it's one hell of a bargain what he's doing. For what he's doing, I see it advertised in Medellin by accountants and lawyers for about 10 million pesos. I paid him $1 million. So, do your homework before you dive into this stuff. And then after that, had to go down to the mayor's office and register the business right here in Armenia. And you can see up here, that's there. That's the business license, got the number on it. So all that's done, taken care of. Let's see. Plus, during a week, I had to work more on the website. There's a merchandise thing that changed, and I had to work on that. A Facebook account. If you're doing anything commercial and Facebook gets involved, you have to be registered as a commercial business there. I didn't even know that. And that took forever because it just kept there's a combination of U.S. information and Colombian information that makes it's all legal, but it's kind of the way it needs to be done. And Facebook didn't seem to be understanding it. And it took me about 48 hours of resubmitting and waiting and resubmitting and sending my passport copy back in, and it was kind of crazy. I will mention this about doing a business. If you're retired, you can't. You simply can't. I had this idea for quite a while. I had to wait 5 years to get my resident visa. Once you have your resident visa, then legally you can do something like this. The only other way you can do it is if your visa is a commercial or a business visa, you can then also establish a business. Having gone through it now, I'm glad we did it the way we did. Paid the accountant to get everything rolling, check the name, you have to make sure it's not and remind me why I'm using that name, what that name is about. Mr. Ben Lake here sent me a message and he guessed it, and he was spot on. I was surprised. I didn't think anybody was going to get it. But the process is actually pretty simple once you get rolling it. We went to the Chamber of Commerce, for example. There was an issue. They had something on their end, and some information it wasn't the accountant, it was on their end. They fully admitted to it. So there was a 2-page form that we had to kind of fill out. Well, we had the information from the accountant, so they took it and they filled out what needed to be, and then it was just a matter of sign and put your fingerprint and that kind of stuff. But that was pretty seamless. But the nice thing was they handle, at least here in Armenia, they just take it away. They do everything for you. And while they're doing it, they say, are you aware of this program? Are you aware of that program? Your coffee, you're going to be exporting. Did you know that in Quindío, you can have this and this and this, and you have these resources, and you can go to Bogota and they'll connect you with potential buyers that maybe you needed more. There's all kinds of stuff. They treat coffee like it's the best thing in the world for Colombia. And it certainly is a great thing for Colombia. So that was nice. They took a lot of time going over those things, pointing out that they were there. Some we knew, but a couple things didn't even know it existed. So that was pretty awesome. Now, the name that we chose, the name is spelled ZHARICK. So you look at that and go, oh, Zarik. No, it's as in, it's Sharik. Sharik, actually. It's not with the R. The R is like a soft D. Sharik. And here's the thing with this name. This name is pretty much unique to Colombia. It sounds like Middle Eastern or whatever. It's not. It's a name that's not common in Colombia, but it's a name that you're not going to find in Ecuador, or Argentina, or Brazil, or France, or it's a unique name to Colombia. Now, maybe not exclusively Colombians, they move to another country, something like that. But it's a name, its origin is from Colombia, and this is where most of them are. So the name ties it to Colombia, because the thing is, if you're going to have a coffee business, there's not a whole lot of coffee-related or Colombian coffee-related names that aren't already out there. So what can tie it to Colombia? All right, most people aren't going to know that, but it will be an unusual name, so that in and of itself will make it kind of memorable, make it marketable. But, at some point, maybe we'll use it in marketing, or maybe they'll figure it out that it is unique to Colombia. So it perfectly fits having coffee unique to Colombia. So there's that. If you have any questions about any of this, feel free to ask as we go. I think this is a really boring topic for a lot of people. I know about 15 people jumped out right around the same time. Did you go looking for your business partner? Did she reach out to you getting this business started? Neither. Let me show you a photo of her back around the time when I got to know her. She was the Miss Senorita Gandillo 2019. That's a dress that she made, kind of a handmade dress. And so that was her. Well, she lives in Calca and most of her life was there. She has family ties here in Candillo, and she was invited to be in this contest. And I think she was in it for multiple years. But it was around this time that I got to know her. She actually contacted me through seeing some videos and maybe on Facebook or something. Honestly, I don't really recall. We wrote back and forth. We talked about, her passion for farms and things like that. But it wasn't anything like you would think. It was more like a informational pen pal. She was fascinated with videos and channels and things like that. And I was interested in coffee farms, obviously, from way back. So a year or two after I got to Colombia is where we hit. We didn't meet in person until last year, I think it was, but we'd had many conversations, prior. And it was as I was coming up on my resident visa that I was able to actually realize what I'd been thinking of and planning for the year before, and that was this business. And so at somewhere around November, December, I talked to her about being part of this because, one, I am retired and I don't want to do everything, but I'm really good at some things, and those things, once they're set up, it's not really like work for me. It's fine. And she has a passion for and is very good at the other part of this business. So it seemed like a perfect thing. So as background there, if you remember, I forget what month it was, but back around towards the beginning of the year when I made a trip to Cali, we met up and went over some of the details of what we're going to be doing. And so this year we've been working actively on it. What do you anticipate your price points to be per pound for your coffee? It's I'm not going to say yet, because I got to lock some of this stuff down. This is not going to be just coffee. This is not going to be Juan Valdez or Cafe Candillo. The coffees that we have lined up, and this is by intention, are the best of the best. These are special coffees. I'll give you a list of the beans. It'll be Tabby, Cultura, Tipica, which is typical, Bourbon Rosado, and Geisha. The Geisha, well, they're all special, but for me, Geisha just kind of blows my mind. So those would be, then it'll be washed and natural. I'll probably only have one particular inventory item as natural. Natural means fermented. So typically it'd be 1 to maybe 2 months. And what it does is give the coffee almost a little, it brightens it, but it brightens it because it's almost like a vinegar. Hard to describe. I'm not a coffee guy when it comes to description. I'm sure they could just make it sound mouth-watering. It's okay for me. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I don't hate it. It's an interesting change. But the only coffee that I found that is better than my favorite, which I could sell, but I'm thinking I probably won't. They sell it. They do a lot of things. The coffee beans that I've found here are not exported. They're not sold around Colombia. They truly will be exclusive. They are the type of farm that, there's more than one farm involved, that I wanted to have, that is a family farm. It's a small thing, but because it's been in family for generations and it's the only thing the family does, is they spend all their time on these things like they're their children. And they go out, and the reason they have these different offshoots of the Arabica is because they love growing coffee, and so they've made this happen. And it takes years to get these things rolling like they have it. And so this is truly one of those unique situations with interesting coffees, which, by the way, I am ready to do the cupping, the coffee tasting video that I've talked about for a bunch of times. I don't even remember everybody that volunteered, but I want to do it this week. Let's do it this week, get it out of the way. Contact me, remind me, and I will send you a location. I had one lined up with actually a professional that would do some explanation and do the cupping and kind of do a program like that. And it's not expensive, but it would cost you 50,000 pesos a person to participate. And it's certainly reasonable, but it's not in Armenia, it's outside Armenia. I'd have to drive everybody out there, kind of tighten the car depending on how many people. But I've located one here in Armenia. I just have to talk to them to make sure everything's cool. Or we could just do it ourselves. Doesn't matter. I'm ready. I've got some special coffee beans, including this geisha. So when we do a coffee tasting, you'll get to try this geisha coffee. I picked up some of the bourbon and the geisha while I was down there. So anyway, since I'm not in the coffee region, I buy coffee beans from small farms around. I roast it dark, fine grind it for espresso coffee so I can fix my own lattes every afternoon. If you're doing dark roast, it doesn't matter what beans they are anyway. These beans here, as a medium roast, the differences are obvious. But if you dark roast them, they're all going to taste the same, because all you're tasting then is not the coffee, but you're tasting the burnt. And I'm personally not a fan of it. That's why I used to have coffee back in the US before I really knew anything about coffee. But once I was introduced to light, medium roast, it kind of blew my mind. And all of a sudden, it tastes very different than a dark roast or what they call espresso coffee. Medium roast espresso is delicious. It's got a little, depending on the bean you choose, like this geisha, for example. I made a 2-shot espresso last week, and I gave it just no sugar, nothing. Tasted it, gave it to my business partner. Here, try this. Her eyes got huge, and she kind of fell in love with it. And she typically likes a little sugar, maybe a little milk in her coffee. But this was just straight black coffee. And it had like a hint of sweetness to it. It had these flavors. Dark roast that coffee, and it's just the same as everything else. It's like burnt coffee. That's my pet opinion. But the thing with coffee is, however you like it. But buying this wouldn't fit into your coffee taste. But all the specialty coffees pretty much that you're going to see around the world are done medium, because that's a sweet spot for all the flavors that they have. And all the coffees that don't fit that category, they're certainly sellable, because much of the world likes a dark roast coffee. And so it all kinds of goes into it. Where if these are single origin coffees that I'll be peddling on my website. Single origin. Blends are, you take this bean and this bean and this bean, and the idea is, well, you get the different characteristics. But if you're doing all the different beans and you're throwing them in and you're dark roasting it, it's all the same thing. There's no difference. There's no, from one to the next. It's, you can use cheaper beans or beans that don't have that much character and dark roast them, and it blends right into every other bean that's in there. Or if you take, let's say, these Tabi and Cultura and bourbon and geisha, and you throw them in and you dark roast them, they're not going to taste any different than if you got a dark roast off the shelf from, pick a name brand. So the whole point of what I'm trying to put together is the experience of what coffee can be, that nobody has access to this unless, you drive down there. I wanted to do it more around Condillo, but this was such a unique opportunity where it's basically unknown and untouched to the world, but it's as good as anything out there as far as unique. So I'm really stoked on that. All right. Did I miss anything? Oh, yeah, I got a couple news things we could talk about now real quick. 3 little news items, and then I'll do my bonus topic. And then we should be right about time. In the meantime, if you have any comments, put them up here. Any questions on business or whatever. Like I say, I just want to tell you what I went through. I'm not telling you how to do it. You can actually find that on the internet. Okay, there's a new airport coming. It's called, they're calling it the the nickname is Aero Cafe. Aeropuerto del Cafe. They start construction on it in a couple weeks. And this is going to be located, because Manizales has an airport that's almost unflyable. On any given day, there's a chance the flight won't go. And the runway is very short, so it's very limited. It certainly could have no international. So here it is. Up in the top middle, you got Manizales. And then where you have this yellow arrow, probably not the best of colors, it seemed okay at the time. You've got Palestina. It's a little town, but they have a nice area like that to do the airport. And then number 1, that's the Pareda Airport, located about where it is in Pareda. And then number 2 is, down to the left, it's Armenia. And you'll see number 2 is down below that, because the airport's not in town, of course. It's out of town, right about that location. Then over to the right in the bottom, you got Ibagué. But the biggest reason they're putting that airport in is so Manizales has better access to airport, and people that want to go to Manizales, it'll certainly bring more people in, having easier access. It'll save the traffic going from the airport to Manizales. As you go through Pareda and Dos Quebradas, it's a freaking nightmare. I mean, it just takes forever. And so this will cut that out. And so that's pretty cool. All right, my next item. What is it? I don't even remember. Oh, yeah. Armenia is, again, asking residents, please, please, please stop giving money to beggars. It causes more problems than it helps. And so that would apply to you too. They have programs for street people. The problem they're running into is they have trouble getting people in the program, which will get them cleaned up, give them a place to sleep, get them food, and help them find work. But panhandlers very often make pretty good money out on the street, and they get to they don't have to punch a time clock, and they get to do all the drugs they want. And with street people, drug usage is very high. You could say, with chicken and the egg kind of thing, but it doesn't matter. They want to get the people off the street, and every time you give a coin to a beggar, you're incentivizing him. Now, there are some exceptions, but they're just saying beggars in general, stop giving them money. Let us take care of it. Let's get them off the streets. They go into detail, and I think they have a very good point. And the last one, before I get to my bonus topic or my rant, You recall a few weeks back, I talked about the new law that establishes that your family dog is a member of the family, only country in the world that has that law. Well, they're adding to it. It's in Congress right now. It appears it'll pass. So it's not there yet, and it may not, but it looks like it's going to pass. If your pet dies, you may be entitled to 3 days of paid leave. So if your dog dies, you can get out of work for 3 days and get paid as though it were a family member. Kind of stands to reason. If legally they're family members, then wouldn't those same benefits apply? I wonder if maternity leave comes up somehow, but they'll be mass producing puppies just to get the days off. I don't know why the cat's in here, because in the law it was specific to dogs, but the word it's typical Colombian. This thing that's in front of their Congress right now, it terms it as pets. So they're kind of expanding the definition. I don't know enough about it to know why they got a cat up there. If it was just a photo opportunity, or if it seriously would include a cat. All right. And last thing I got here, my bonus topic and pet peeve. Thank you so much for the contribution. Thank you. It's been a stressful week. Eventually it'll get a return when this business starts making money, but every business, it's all on the outgo. And these things, I'm like, when I go to Innova, I got another video. I go to Kokora, I got another video. So it's all related to this channel anyway. I just do this other work while I'm there. It's getting expensive. That black elephant, I'm getting about 15 miles a gallon with that pig. Whew. And, well, it's got an oxygen sensor from the U.S. on order, and it's been back ordered for 2 weeks, and that'll certainly make a difference. But even then, what's it going to do? 3 miles per gallon better? Or might get up to 18. On the other hand, the four-wheel drive and the big tires, freaking awesome. I'm going places that a car couldn't go, which was the point. All right, bonus topic. Now, if the person who asked me this the last time is watching, I certainly mean no offense to you. But understand, you're not the only one. This comes up a lot. And the reason it's kind of an axe to grind is there's no ill intention from people asking me this question. However, there is a huge understanding gap. What is that? Can you help me find an apartment? Yeah, there's a guy that'll do it here. Hang on to your wallet. You know, if the rent's $2 million, you're going to pay $3 million. Don't do it. Don't get yourself an English-speaking real estate agent. Don't do it. As a matter of fact, don't even get a real estate agent, as I've talked to death about why that's a bad idea in this area. There's always exceptions somewhere, but in this area, you will not be happy with the end results. You might be at first, like I'm stuck for a second year here, because even though I went into it expecting certain issues, I still got blindsided by a couple, and it's like I can't even move until next February. Not fun. So, wants me to find somebody to help him find an apartment. So I contact a few people I know. This one girl, she says, well, I'm off work next week, so I can go do it. And I could use the extra money because they're not paying me for that week off. And then I go back to work. And I said, okay, well, that will be great. It'll take, I've seen this before, it'll take 2 or 3 days to walk all the different barrios. You go in and you talk to the guards, you look for the signs, you call the phone numbers. You can look on the internet, they don't pay off very well usually, but you certainly don't leave that stone unturned. But, walk the barrios, go in, talk to people, get phone numbers, call people up. That's how you find what you're looking for. And in this case, he's looking for a particularly good size, and I asked for the parameters. There aren't really any parameters. I can afford whatever. Well, I don't know what that means. And some other things that didn't make sense because I live here and I know what it's like, and he doesn't live here, so he doesn't have enough information to post things in a way that makes sense. Like, I want to live in a barrio that has a mall and shopping and all the best restaurants. Well, there's no one barrio that's like that. There's a bunch of them that are like that. But my favorite restaurant is in Wireless, but when I lived in Centenario, it doesn't exist there. I would have to go to Wireless to go to it. So, I mean, it's like, here it's almost nonsensical because it just doesn't apply. And there's a whole bunch of things like that. But then the real issue came. I got back and I said, look, it took a few days. I found somebody who was willing to do this. It'll cost you. He said, well, I'll pay up front so they don't have to worry about, if I don't show up or whatever. I said, okay. So not knowing 2, 3, 4 days, 5 days, don't know. She said, well, maybe around 300,000. So that would be similar to her job. So I told him, I said around that, and that she could, send you pictures, descriptions, contact information of different places that, kind of fit the size and like that. And then you can kind of decide. And then he wrote back and he said, well, no, I'm going to be flying in to Pareda the end of August to the 1st of September, maybe something like that. And I want to have everything lined up so for 3 days I can go and look at all these different apartments. And it's like, all right, I just wasted my time on that. And because any of you that look for an apartment, you're lucky if you get return phone calls, let alone schedule something a month out and expect somebody to show up. This is not a place where you get lucky sometimes. I'll give it that. But if you say, I want to look at 3 apartments today, so make an appointment one at 11, at 2, and at 5. It's unlikely any of those are actually going to happen. If you show up for the 2 o'clock one and you leave, and then you get a message an hour and a half later, hey, I'm here, where are you? Well, I was there, I waited, you're not there anymore. It's, what do they say? It's like cats fighting in a bag or something like that. No, try to round up cats. Whatever that saying is about cats. It's very problematic. The best you can do is gather information, narrow it down to the kind of stuff that you're looking for, and then you start trying to get a hold and make appointment, make arrangements. My first place, it took me almost a week to get lined up to where we could actually meet up. It was actually a friend who found the one for me in Trece Santa behind the mall on Centenario. And that took me almost a week to get lined up to do it. So, and it's like, okay, we're on for Wednesday, but that could change to Thursday and then Friday and then to Saturday. That's herding cats. Thank you. Thank you. And that's typically how it goes. So to fly down with the express purpose of visiting a certain number of apartments, nobody can guarantee that's going to happen. I can pretty much guarantee that won't happen. So if you're flying down just for that, it doesn't really work that way. You kind of have to clear these things ahead of time, and then you start working before you get here to make the arrangements to come in. He said, well, I would need her anyway because I don't speak Spanish. Well, she doesn't speak English, but you don't need to. I mean, when I got my first place, I wasn't speaking any Spanish, and I had no problem at all. You got Google Translate. There's certainly, I mean, there's some basic things. You look at the apartment, you like it or not, yes or no, you know, price, and you can, give a counter price. And you can do that on a piece of paper on your phone. There's not a lot necessary. It's a security blanket, but it's not a necessary one. So that's kind of my axe to grind. But I think it's a good thing to express here to those of you who aren't aware of how it is. Don't go through an agent. You will be sorry if you do. You don't have to take my word for it, but just remember, I told you so. Don't go through some English-speaking gringo, because in this area, you're going to get robbed. And allegedly, hiring somebody local to pound the pavements for you is not a bad way. I think that's a great way. Or you do it yourself. You go to the barrio that you like. In the north here, there's 3 or 4 barrios that are pretty awesome. And you just go out and you spend the day walking around with a notebook, and you take pictures of the signs up in the windows that are arrienda for rent with a phone number. Maybe you can get somebody to make the calls for you, or you can put it in WhatsApp. You use Google Translate and send the message to them that way. Works out fine. That's my exclusive method of communication. Probably my first year and a half or so in Colombia. I had no problem with it. Worked fine. So there's that. All right. Before we go, any questions, any comments, anything we need to address? It's interesting that the viewers kept climbing after I said that. But they missed all the business stuff. I don't know that I'll put a particular video out on it. I haven't decided yet. But I think I will do, if I can find time, on my list of priorities. It might make sense to do like a bullet point, factual based 5-minute video on how to locate a house or an apartment in Armenia. What do you think about that? Maybe that would be worth doing, because it comes up all the time. And I'm not a real estate guy. I don't mind helping people, but mostly the help that I would do, I'm not going to go pound the pavement for you. The most help I do is find somebody who's willing to do that for you, and you pay him. It's not a lot. I mean, he would have paid for 3 or 4 days of them, spending probably 6-7 hours a day and having all those conversations, totaled about $70. So I personally think it's a good way to go. Plus, ultimately, when you have somebody do that, you deal with the owners directly. When you have a real estate agent, they will not negotiate. There's no negotiation. They have endless rules, a lot of hidden fine print. Turtle found out about it. Socorro, he told me about it. I found out that was absolutely true. They make their money renting the apartment, but they make their real money, the big money, at the end when you're trying to leave. And what they do is legal. It's just kind of sleazy. I've never had an issue with an owner. They're great to deal with. They've always been willing to negotiate. They're more responsive. I had a couple issues here. Who are you dealing with? You never even get to know the owner, and you put it into this real estate agent company, biggest one in Armenia, all for the sake of a stupid video. And 3 days later, it passed around to 5 different people and nobody acted on it. When I had an issue and I was dealing with the owner directly, they were instantly on it. It's a matter of pride. So there's that. One more look at Señorita Quindío 2019. There you go. She doesn't know that I put that up. I just thought it was very interesting because her favorite flower is sunflower. And if you see this picture up close, you can see that every little petal, every piece of this is cut out of cloth and then sewn together and sewn on the dress. She made the entire thing. I thought that was very cool. Okay, sounds like a great presentation. Yeah, maybe I'll try to get to do it. Oh, missed one here. Lauren, thanks for all you do. Very informative for someone seriously considering relocating here. That's really the point, the intention. So thank you. Matsky, solid advice. I didn't use an agent for my land or my apartment in Manizales. Exactly. We know, but people coming in, well, I'll get an agent. That's the way to go. You know, it's not the U.S. It's not Canada. It's not wherever you're from. It's different. And I tell you, it's a mistake because it's a mistake. And then I have people, you know, it's like, well, how do you know you never did it? Well, I know because all my Colombian friends tell me, but so I said, all right, good point. After all this time, I'll use an agent next time. And I can't move. Well, I can move. It would cost me 6 million pesos, $1,500, for the privilege of leaving, even though my contract's up. Yeah, and it's legal. Okay, enough of that. I'm prepared. Next time around, come the first of the year, all my ducks are in a row. I'll be out of here. And it's not that it's a bad place. It's just, I don't know if you notice, I tend to move around a little bit, and I'm anxious to get to another place. Might even be going to a farm at some point. Who knows? All right. Last call for questions and or comment. And if no, we've gone 6 minutes over time. I guess we'll end it here. So thank you very much for being here. Contributions, thank you so much. Sorely needed. I certainly appreciate it. And I will see you next week. Ciao.
Oh,